Hello! Hi! Welcome back to TTH TV. Today we are covering a topic that so many of you have asked us about. Literally, we've been inundated with questions for this one. And I think it can be quite a terrifying time. It is the taper. Da, da, da. That was so synchronized. So for those of you that don't know, we are 11 days? No. 10. 10 days out from London Marathon.
But when we post this, it might be 9 or 8.
Yeah, maybe. But anyway, we are not far out from London Marathon. We are in our taper phase, which for us kind of really kicked in at the beginning of this week, I think. It's important to note when we say that obviously our training volume is quite high. We are not necessarily used to this distance, but we have covered this distance a lot and it is kind of what we do. So our taper phase might be, or will definitely be, very different to yours.
I think that's a really, the first thing to point out is that we're going to give you advice on tapering and how to deal with tapering, because it can be a real mind game. But at the end of the day, everyone's taper is different, just like everyone's training for the London Marathon is different.
Yeah. So please take everything that we kind of say here with a pinch of salt, and if you do have any further questions, please don't hesitate to either drop us a comment below or reach out to us on social.
Yeah.
So we thought we'd start with the one that has kind of come in the most, which is nutrition.
Yeah, and predominantly carb loading.
Yeah, I mean, it's the reason we all run, right?
Yeah, the cake and pasta and bread and which we all eat anyway. But anyway, running a marathon.
How much more, or how should you kind of adjust this in the run up to a big race, be that a marathon, be that an ultra, be that a 10K, be that a 5K, whatever it might be? How should you adjust kind of what the amount of carbs you are eating in the run up to something that you've been training for?
So I think first of all, in your training for let's say we're just going to use the London Marathon as a base for most of this vlog, but in your training you probably found that you've increased your carbohydrate intake naturally because you've been hungrier because of the volume of training you've been doing. And basically for your taper, keep it the same. Keep the foods the same that you've been eating. Because your volume of training is going to be coming down, you might feel slightly less hungry. So that means you want to eat a little bit less than you have been. That's absolutely fine.
There's no need to force feed here.
Don't force feed,
but it is important to keep it kind of regular, or as regular as you can, just because you're not necessarily training at the same intensity or volume as you were before, doesn't mean that your body doesn't still need this fuel and this kind of these carbs to help you recover and get you kind of in the best state.
I think also how people view carb loading is a very old style of it, where you would exercise really hard 5 days before your event, deplete your glycogen stores. That's the carbohydrate that's stored in your muscles, so there's nothing left there. And then on the days that you're recovering just before your run, then you eat a load of carbohydrate to just really bulk up those glycogen stores in your muscles, because they're so depleted. They're desperate for food. If you think if you're eating your 3 meals a day and you're really happy, but then if you miss a meal, think about what you do at your next meal. You eat more. So that's basically what your body does with the glycogen. So if you completely take it away, it panics and grabs extra. So it means for your run, you've got more carbohydrate hidden in your muscles, essentially. But that can be quite stressful, that whole depleting yourself, and it now seems quite an outdated way to carbo load. We just tend to have quite a high carbohydrate diet anyway, but we'll just maybe focus on making sure if we're having eggs for breakfast, instead of it being an omelette, we'll make sure it's scrambled eggs on toast, and small changes like that, just to make sure that carbohydrate's just bumping on quite happily.
We're just increasing.
Pardon you.
It's always marathon training. Just increasing it a little bit, so the night before we tend to have the same meal. We have pesto pasta, and just kind of increasing our pasta portion by a little bit, and making sure that we've got enough inside of us. And even if sometimes I understand, especially sort of, for example, in a taper, as you get sort of towards the end of it, you might start to feel a little bit less hungry. So if it works best for you, so we've done it in the past, even kind of with our breakfast as well, is broken it up into kind of 2 servings. So we've maybe had an early dinner and then had a little bit more before we go to bed. We also talk a lot about how we sometimes add a mini bowl of porridge to our kind of diets towards the end as a bedtime snack.
It's an easy way to slide in a few more carbs. And also don't do that carbohydrate load meal just the night before. So if you haven't been practicing that in your training months, don't do it, because this should just be a replication of what you've done every night before all of your long runs. But yeah, we have a nice bowl of pasta That does not mean we eat a bucket the size of our face, because you will feel like crap in the morning unless you're quite a big human that can digest that. So don't go crazy on the carbohydrates. It just means you've increased your intake a bit. It doesn't mean you need to fill your bath with oats and dive in.
But if you do want to do that,
it sounds quite fun.
Please do, just maybe not the night before a race.
Yeah. And then the same in the morning as well. Just stick to the breakfast that you've been having. It tends to be, for endurance people, high carbohydrate, but for you it might not be. So yeah. Carbo loading, a few little tips there.
Yeah. A lot of the confusion comes is that people think if they suddenly start upping their carbs, or even just
and their running's coming down,
they're suddenly going to gain like 10 pounds. Almost impossible.
Yeah.
You are not suddenly, you cannot gain weight overnight. Yes, you can maybe gain water weight, but you can't gain fat. You can't actually put on a substantial amount of noticeable.
Your taper is going to be no longer than 2 weeks, so you're going to have to really outdo yourself for that. Obviously, after the marathon, if you're not looking to continue that mileage, you'll need to look at reassessing your diet and bringing down the amount that you were eating when you were training. But during your taper, your calories won't change a huge amount. As we said, if you're hungry, continue to eat as you are. If you don't force down the food if you're not feeling it.
It's actually a really good time to sort of get a bit intuitive with your body. We're all guilty of just eating out of boredom, or eating because we think we should, or because it's around lunchtime so we think we should be hungry even though we had a rather big snack at 12:30. We all do it. So it's actually quite a good way to think about eating when you are actually hungry and when your body actually does need it, and listening to your body, and it will actually put you in kind of good stead following the marathon, whether you decide to continue training in the way you have been, or whether you decide to focus on a different goal. It's quite a nice way of kind of reassessing yourself and the situation you're in.
So the next topics, that was most of the nutrition questions we had, is illness and injuries. So I had a couple of people say they've got niggles and they were trying to get in their last few shorter runs, or they have they feel ill. I know I sound like I'm ill, I've actually just lost my voice. I'm not ill.
But I think it's quite common, even I know you don't feel ill, but to get a bit run down towards this sort of time. Your body's been under a lot of pressure, a lot of strain, a lot of stress. You may have loved every minute of your marathon training, but that doesn't mean it still hasn't taken an effect on your body. It is taxing, and it's important to understand that your body will start to feel those effects. You, no matter kind of who you are, at some point around this time, you will start to feel a bit tired. Of course you will. You've been training really hard. The stress, the excitement, everything on top of that
excitement,
is bound to take its toll. Yeah. So don't panic. But there's also, it's a very sort of fine line between just feeling a little bit tired, a little bit run down, and maybe having a slight kind of just twinge through tightness, and then actually having some kind of damage that could affect race day.
I think the main question that's come alongside that is, do I continue to get these last few runs in? And for us, I think the answer is no. If you're feeling run down, ill, or something's starting to hurt you, and it's not like obviously if it's a really big injury, like just defer your place. But if it's a small niggle that you think you will be able to run through on the day, there's no point adding like a couple of 5Ks. There's nothing more that you can do now really to improve your race.
That's not meant to scare you.
No, but there's a huge amount you can do to ruin your race. So if that means that you're going to, instead of do a 5K, you're going to do a half an hour swim in the pool, that's what you need to go do, or go for a walk or something else. So stay active. Don't just be a vegetable on the sofa, because then marathon day will be a shock. But yeah, don't, if your body is already starting to tell you it's a bit like don't screw it up on the last 2 weeks.
Other ways to move that will be equally as beneficial to you as going out and doing that 5K, which could actually be detrimental to race day, and nobody wants that.
So then finally on to training. So for us, this includes our sort of like 2 to 3 strength sessions a week with Brad, and then alongside also our runs and whatever else that we might do. So we spoke to Brad on this one to make sure we're A-okay with our advice. So for him, he was saying like our taper strength-wise starts almost 3 weeks out, and that's when you start to either reduce the volume or the intensity of our exercises, so just one of them. And then when you're 2 weeks out, you can start to reduce both of them. And then when you're 1 week out, you start to just practice movement patterns. So there's basically no weight. You don't want to go for a PB or something on your deadlift, because there's so many things that could just go a tiny bit wrong that could really affect your race. And then also start, which I did today, was start learning my new movement patterns for post-marathon. So I was doing them with little to no weight and just learning what I'm going to be doing afterwards. So it kept my body moving, but it was no stress on my central nervous system.
And also it kind of takes your mind off
Yeah.
of the day, a little bit.
Distraction.
We also have a few short runs in partly run clubs and then also just a few of our own. Again, it's really important to stress here that we are runners, not professional runners, but we are runners and relatively strong runners. So a 5K is kind of a shakeout, it's kind of a stretch of the legs. We're very fortunate to be in that position, we've trained hard to be in that position, but that is the reality of it for us. For you, that might not be the case, no matter whether you train for the marathon or not. If running isn't natural to you, or it's not something that you did a lot of before the London Marathon, it could be that distance can sometimes still feel like a bit of a struggle, which is fine, by the way. And you have good runs, you have bad runs, but for us, that's not the case. So we do have a few 5Ks, and we also have a 10K in, which will be taken very slowly, very steadily, and will literally just be to kind of get our legs moving.
Yeah, and it's also nice just to be around people who are also running the race to share your pre-race nerves and laugh about the weird dreams that you have been having, or it just, it gives you peace of mind that there's other people going through what you're going through, and that will just help you be at peace. So we hope that we've helped debunk some tapering facts for you, and myths. That was the one. That was close enough. And you now know if you're going to carbo load or not, or if you're going to swim in a bath of porridge. Yeah, please film it if you do.
Yeah. And so hopefully we've answered all your questions. If we haven't, then just pop them below or drop us a DM on Instagram.
Indeed.
Just let us know. Basically, we're more than happy to kind of help in any way we can.
Don't forget to get this little video a thumbs up.
And also subscribe to our channel.
And once you subscribe on our channel, you have to go up to the top corner and there is now a small bell. So if you just click that, it will tell you every time we upload. At the moment, it's only like once a week, so don't worry, you're not going to be inundated with emails. But yeah,
and if anything you'd like to see as well, then let us know. We've been reviewing quite a lot of races recently, which we've really enjoyed. So let us know if there's any you want us to review or anything you'd like us to cover.
And we'll see you back here on TTH TV very soon.
Bye. You're supposed to record.